Okay, hi again. So I'm on page 24 and I've just finished kind of on the elimination for the disjunction, which actually blew my mind. And I'm still now 100% sure I understand everything that went in there. I kind of got maybe a general idea over it, and I do understand this example way more than the actual proof. So I think that's a good thing, because I got to a point where I can totally understand this example and I'm like pretty okay with the conclusion. But when I get to this one, I'm still very confused. The good thing is that I understood what these numbers are coming from that I actually didn't understand before. So that's a good thing. So I did understand the fact that this whole numbers that come from this side are coming from the assumptions. So for example, from this line, even though it's proposition number 3 and you use proposition number 2 or premise, should we call it like this? So these are like some sort of premises until you get to the actual conclusion at the end. But these are like rows you use. So this one tells you that you use, for row number 2, you use the introduction of disjunction. Okay, so you use the row number 2. But this one tells you apply this bit to assumption number 2. So I kind of got to that point and I'm quite okay with it. And then you make a new assumption and you make it number 4, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for this one, again, you introduce a disjunction, but you use the assumption number 4. And then at the end, you finish all of this one from the first assumption. So all of these numbers that come over here are only about assumptions. So you never use any other numbers other than the numbers for assumptions. So I looked back like this one that I actually got wrong first when I did it. So I looked at this one back. So I have assumption 1 and assumption 2, and then for every single other bit I use the assumptions. So these like numbers over here come from the assumption. These are like the number rows, and these ones, the numbers over here, come from like what row are you using and then what property. So I think I got to this bit, and I kind of understand some of these, but not completely. So we're gonna see. I do have like the next examples in the textbook are supposed to be on both elimination and introduction of disjunction. So I do have a couple of these. So again, elimination and introduction of disjunction. So I'm actually quite afraid of this one and a little bit of that, but I think I will manage to do them. So I don't expect to do lots of examples today, but who knows, because I will struggle with this one, and I do want to understand step by step what happens here, especially when they use so many lines for understanding elimination. And for me still, even though they call it elimination, it doesn't eliminate anything for me. Nothing yet. So I'm not sure why we call it elimination yet. Maybe I should just go back and read the proper explanation. So they do tell me the first actual sentence for this, it tells me that the rule of elimination is rather more complex. So I should have paid more attention to this one. But anyway, I'm talking too much. I should just get going. Okay, so I've done just like 1.5 pages. But basically I've done just 2 proofs. So I've done this one and then the second one. First one, it did take me a little longer to understand what was happening, but it wasn't completely bad. But the second one, it's just like, I've read it, I've read their explanation, and I didn't understand the thing. So let me show you what happened. So I read the actual proof, I finished, and I actually got like, didn't understand the thing. I've put their extra notes from the second paragraph and their actual explanations, and still I wasn't completely sure I understood what was happening. So I did it all over again. And what I did, if I split it into one part and the second part, depending on what they use for the question. So if you took a look at my notes on Tumblr, you would see that these ones, they actually have names for it. So you have, let me go back to the notation so I can actually explain what happened. I'm probably not going to be able to probably explain. So when you have P or Q, both P and Q are called disjunct. So going back to my actual thing, so I split the proof into 2 bits like they explain in the book. So I've put the first bit that has to do with the first disjunct, and I've done the second bit that has to do with the second disjunct, because they have both of them, they use them as assumptions. So from the first disjunct you get to the conclusion, and then from the second disjunct you get to the same conclusion, and then from all of these bits you get to the last and final conclusion, which is from the first assumption. So that kind of made me understand a little bit more about this. And I've also put like small notes over here so that I do understand that it starts with something, it introduces something specific, and it starts with something else. And I've done the same here, and then I've put the actual conclusion here. And I've put, this is the conclusion that comes from the assumption number 5, and so on. So because this conclusion, it's from assumption number 5, is not what we're actually looking for, because we're looking for a conclusion that comes from first assumption. I've put it in like big circled over there. And then on the last bit I've put why we use all these numbers and not others, because 1 is the first assumption, second is the first disjunct, line 4 is the conclusion from the first disjunct. So let me show you. So we have the first disjunct, the conclusion for the first disjunct, and then we have line 5 is the second disjunct, and then line 11 is the conclusion from the second disjunct, which is actually the longest bit of it, because the second disjunct is composed of 2 other bits. So we had to do the same thing for Q, and then we had to do the same thing for R. So this bit is so long because we had to do one thing for P, one thing for Q, and one thing for R. Kind of exactly the same thing, because if I look at them, they are the same. They're not like very different. And then we have the final conclusion from all of those. But I had to actually do this again to properly understand what happened in here, and I'm still not 100% sure I can do this like from my head and stuff. So I'm actually thinking next time, should I just do this all over again? Because the next bit in this book is another extra property. And I was thinking, should I just do a couple of examples? Or maybe should I just do this last property because it's the last one, and then I get to exercises, which I will probably struggle a lot to do. I'm gonna see. But this was very hard. I'm quite okay with it now. Also because I've explained it again. Anyway, probably you do have to take a look at my notes to understand what I was talking about. So I will put, again, I'm taking pictures of this ones. and I'm putting them on Tumblr for absolutely every single day. So you should find, if you go on my Tumblr, you should find absolutely all the notes I have so far, because I wrote a lot, so you should have absolutely everything so far. So hopefully this will actually make a little bit more sense for you. I talked so much in this video, which I'm not actually used to, but hopefully that goes well. So I'll take pictures. You will have all the information in the description box below. Hopefully that kind of made sense, but it was hard. It was hard for me to understand this. Let me know if you have like extra, I don't know, advice on this, on information, or like if you have questions, hopefully I could also answer them. But bear in mind, I'm not the best at this yet, so I'm still learning. I will do my best. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.